What's up, guys? Carlos69, and today I'm going to show you a rare condition that happened on my hoverboard recently that I was able to diagnose and fix. So I've already taken off the cover. I didn't start with just opening the cover because it's pretty forward. Take out the screws off the bottom, and make sure you're very careful when taking it off because you have your headlight wire connected to your circuit board. And you don't want to, break it or get it caught or anything. So always take the cover off slowly, and then just got a little, pincher right here. You just pinch together and slowly pull it off, and voila. So the cover's off, and I've got the screws out and not labeled, but assigned to the hole which they came out of. So I'm going to give you a quick story. So recently, that was going on with my hoverboard was I was hearing a clunking noise in the right wheel. So what I did was the hoverboard should be, rotated like that, so it's facing this way. Headlight's facing this way, so this is the right wheel on this side, but I just rotated around, flipped it upside down. So what was happening was I was getting a clunking noise every time I would stop and start really quick. If I was going really fast and I leaned back and stopped real quick, I heard a clunk. If I was going backwards really quick and I leaned forward, it would clunk again. So I was like, what is that clunking noise? What is going on in here? And then I also started seeing that I had some wheel play in my wheel. So it would, when I pick up, the wheel would fall like this, and when I'd step back on it, it would go back up at 180 degrees. So it kept doing this every time I picked it up or laid it down. I was like, okay, well the wheel's loose, but what holds the wheel down? I have no clue what holds the wheel down. I was like, is it the case itself, or what's going on here? So I was like, all right, well, how do you do this? So I saw this one video of a hoverboard being completely built just from scratch. I was like, oh, it looks like there's 4 big bolts that hold it down. And there is. And what I found out was it's 4 Allen wrench bolts, and they were all loose. I had one about maybe a 1/4 inch out of its socket, and it was pretty much about to just fall out and start rounding around the hoverboard. So basically, if you hear a clunking noise every time you stop or start or change directions really quick, and you have play in the wheel, that normally indicates that the hold down bolts for the wheel are loose, and you want to get in there quick and tighten them back down. So I took the cover off. Right now I'm going to show you guys the inside right now, and I also found out another diagnostic information for calibration. Now here's my board, here's the inside, here's the battery cage protector, and the circuit board and gyroscopes. Now if you guys look at my circuit board, see those holes? They never screwed in my circuit board. Can you believe that? They never screwed in my circuit board. But when I opened it and I looked inside, because my hoverboard wasn't quite center, I had to lean a little bit forward on this side. So I looked in there, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have any screws. This thing's not held in by anything. Well, it kind of is. It's actually pretty snug. It is snug against the black walls of this thing right here. It is very, very snug. And it was actually slid a little bit forward, so these holes were not lined up with the actual screw holes. So then I took it out, I was like, oh wow. And the technology is amazing, guys. So of course here's a circuit board, and here's the gyroscope inside underneath, along with the little paddles. And I slid it and I matched it, and that actually helps calibration. So if your board's not leveled in a basic hoverboard reset doesn't do it with the power button, I would suggest opening up your covers and finding out if they even screwed in your circuit board and if it's even centerized. So anyway, so in order to get to the 4 bolts which hold down the wheel here, you're gonna have to take off your circuit board protector or holder, whatever you want to call it. This right here, the black piece. So you want to get to that screw, this screw, and that screw. I do not suggest taking these wires out because they don't have any pinchers, and this one does have pinchers, but I tried getting it out. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with it, because I ended up pulling my circuit board out. I was like, okay, we'll not do that again. So before you take this out, I recommend you undo the screws for the battery holder. So I already got it started. So this screw right here, that screw, and then this one, and that one. So those 4 Phillips head, just unscrew them and then take them out, and then you can lift, when you're done with this one, you can just lift it and move it aside while the battery holder is off and the cables can move freely. So I'm going to set the camera down. This will take me a moment. I will have times in the description of the video, so you can just fast forward if you already know how to get to this part, and then I'll show you the bolts inside. So we'll go ahead right now. We'll take off the battery cover screws. There we go. Okay, set them lined up, set them up there. And also, when you're doing this, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. Also, watch where you always place your hands. You never want to touch the circuit board raw with your bare fingers, because sweat, oil can short-circuit them. Normally it shouldn't happen, but again, you just don't want to place your hands on the circuit board. You want to be very careful about where you're putting your hands at all times. Nice and slow. Always take your time. You're not in a hurry. Never do this under a hurry or stress or anything. Just nice and slow. So I'm doing right now. Got my hands on the battery holder. Take everything just nice and slow. And anytime you don't feel comfortable, just reassess your situation, see what maybe might be going wrong or what's troubling you or whatever. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them and help you try and troubleshoot and see what's going on. But this is a special situation that happened to me. So, okay, I've got one more Phillips head screw left. Wash my hands from the circuit board. Almost there. Come on. One more. Okay, last one. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. Set that right there. Alright, so here comes off the bracket. Just lift it up, and here's what it looks like off the board. So we'll go ahead and set that up there. We'll set it the way it came off. So it came off this way, so I'm going to set it up like this so I know to lay it back on like that. Alright. So now the wires are loose, and they can be freely moved. Now we're going to go ahead and unscrew the circuit board and gyroscope protector cover right here. Now one thing I need to mention right now is when you take this off, there is literally no room between the gyroscope paddles and the actual plastic piece that's holding the circuit board. There's no room at all. So when you take it off, you have to slide it perfectly up, nice and slow. If you feel it catching it all, just stop and look, get a flashlight, see what's going on. Because if you tear that, you're screwed. I'll just leave it that way. You're screwed. So we'll go ahead and carefully, very carefully, watch where we put our hands, unscrew the screws for the circuit board cover and protector, nice and slow. And anytime you feel like you don't know what I'm talking about, just back up to where I was pointing at the screws. Like I said, I'll label time frames in the description so you can know where you're backing up to. These screws are so small threaded. It is so annoying. Oh, whoa. Okay, and one thing I did learn about these small threaded screws is I have to use a knife to carefully pry them out because they kind of like to stick. So got that screw out. We'll set it up there. That is my top right screw. Alright, we'll get back to this one. Alright. Nice and slow. Oh, okay, it's not all the way out yet. Thought it was. That's why you never want to apply pressure. You always want to find out if you actually screw all the way out, which I thought I did, because it's not making any more movement outward. Okay, try it this way, nice and slow. You don't want to come out. Why don't you want to come out, buddy? You came out last time. There we go. Got it. Alright. Set you, okay, top left. Got it. Alright, we'll go down here. I'm going to take this off. Do. So get that off. Nope, not yet. I'll respect them for making small threads instead of big threads because it makes more sense in equipment this fragile. Come on. You know you want to come out of there. You're making me look bad. Let's go. Okay. Nice and slow. Uh-oh. Don't tell me you're playing that game with me today. Don't do that to me, please. That's the last thing I need. Seems to be catching on the cover. Which, if that happens, you'll end up threading the cover backwards, and that screw hole is completely screwed. Didn't. Come on. Alright. I'm just going to leave that screw in place and try and pop it off as easy as I can. Because I don't want to thread it backwards, because if you do that, then you're screwed. Like I said. But it's... See if I can get this guy. Ow! That hurts. Come on, get out of there. Why are you being like this? I know you're loose. You're not in there anymore. Come on, get out of there. Okay, I'm just gonna leave the screws in. But anyway, so here we go. What you want to do again is just very carefully lift up, nice and slow, because they're it's either catching on the gyroscopes, and then you just slowly lift it back. No pressure on the wires. I just rotate it this way very softly because that's where the wires just naturally want to feel like they want to go, and just let it hang. So there we go. Now you got your circuit board and gyroscopes off. Now check it out. Here's the inside. Underneath this is this. This is what the edge of this, okay, that scared me. This is what the edge of this will catch onto that. Like I said, there's no space. Anyway, so here are the 4 bolts. These are what were literally loose on my board, which was causing the clunking noise when I was going back and forth. So in order to get to that, you got to take off the circuit board, you got to take off the cover for the battery and let the wires hang back. And then in here are the 4 bolts that hold down the wheel, just like that. And then here are the little paddles. I'll put my finger on the side. I don't know if you, yep, there it goes. You can see it moving. That's what actually moves the board. And then there's a laser up in there, right there. So that's how you get to your bolts, and that's how I tighten them down. And now there's no more clunking. And the wheel still spins. Okay, we need to stop doing that. I got a hanging circuit board over here. And that's how I fixed my problem. These bolts were loose. Now, when reassembling, of course, okay, thought I just heard a noise, but we're all good. Now reassembling, when you put this back on, again, you gotta make sure you don't tear these right here. You don't want to tear these at all. You gotta be very level and take everything very slow. Still got the screws hanging in there. And just absolutely be careful. So that was my problem right there. So if you, like I said, you ever hear a clunking noise or your wheels coming loose, these 4 bolts are normally the culprit and the cause. And that's how you get to them. You take this off, first with that, excuse me, and then just slowly remove everything step by step, and you should be able to get to those bolts. And if they're loose, just tighten them back down and voila. So guys, this was my hoverboard problem I had. We're gonna stop moving it. And that's how I fixed it, and it's running better than ever now. I would almost say as good as absolute no. So guys, that's my problem. I also want to tell you guys, go to www.hoverboardtalk.com and register up. In that website, we can talk about any problems about hoverboards with a 6.5 inch, the 8-inch Bluetooth, the 10-inch inflatable wheels, batteries, cosmetics, scratch proofing, whatever and anything ever related to hoverboards. So guys, make sure you check out www.hoverboardtalk.com, register up, and start pretty much almost any topic about hoverboards. Any questions you have, any troubleshooting you have, that website is a great place to start, where we can all talk about, you know, these awesome machines that people for some reason hate, and it's got all the bad, you know, stuff about the batteries. But anyway guys, this is Kyle69 signing out.